is scary. I quit my job. I wasn't working as a personal trainer once I moved out to LA. I didn't make money for like 3 years. I had to do little side gigs all the time just to make ends meet for a while. And the hardest thing to get it going was to figure out the things that actually made an impact to grow the business or get the name known. And that took me a long time, probably a couple of years. I would buy those little courses every once in a while that you would see for how to do Facebook ads and try that. And we tried a company that ran ads for us, and that did not work out. We got one sale in 3 months and lost thousands of dollars off that. Like, it was terrible. But those are the lessons that you learn throughout business. We kind of got started with martial arts before the big boxing boom. So we started to build awareness that we were like this fitness boxing gym, but with like real coaches. Like one of our head coach, who's still with us today, Ozzy Diaz, is a professional MMA fighter, and he taught our boxing, kickboxing, and jiu-jitsu classes, right? So there's people coming in that wanted to be MMA fighters, but then there was also people that just wanted to learn to box for self-defense and just to get a good workout. This was really before it exploded. I would say I'd say the pandemic's really when I noticed boxing really kicking.
You've gotten a chance to work with a lot of professional athletes, MMA fighters, basketball players, track and field athletes. What do you notice about the habits and actions of elite athletes that really get them to level up their performance?
Consistency is king. They will put in the work, rarely ask questions, and if they do, it's because they want to learn. But they know that putting the results or the practice in compounds the results, right? You're so narrow-minded with what you're trying to accomplish that you will just have that laser focus and not be deviated from it. And that's what separates, I think, athletes and serious entrepreneurs who don't see that little extra performance gain or moving the needle in the business. It's really frustrating, and you can get really down on yourself, right? So you have to have somebody that can check you and be like, hey, you're doing the right things. Progress is not linear. We're not always going to be moving up. There's going to be tough times. There might be an injury. A business might slump for a little bit, but just know if you keep putting in the work, you're going to rise out on top. And that is a mental hurdle that a lot of business owners and athletes themselves deal with that I don't think is talked about enough.
Say if someone's coming to you and someone really wants to get their health in order, a lot of stuff in their life isn't really balanced, but they know that a lot of things probably start with their mental health and then their physical health, and then everything kind of follows after that. Thinking about baby steps here, what should step one be?
Step one is just take that step, right? A lot of people will keep mulling it over or saying they want to start. Instead of thinking about it, just put it into action. And this could be as simple as taking a step outside and standing outside for a little bit in the sun, or a 2-minute walk that turns into a 10, 20-minute walk. Just make that first step, like commit to something, because you're never going to get started without taking that first step.
Yo, what's up, Business Blumin squad? I just wrapped up my conversation with Taylor Ross, and boy, did we have a great conversation. So Taylor actually grew up as a shy and quiet kid, and in order to build his confidence, turned to sports. And he ended up working so hard at sports that he became a professional athlete and a professional sprinter, in fact. And while he was in college, he actually studied kinesiology and thought about becoming a doctor, maybe something like an anesthesiologist, but ended up taking the entrepreneurial leap and opened up a gym with his dad. And despite countless challenges, including everything that comes with building and running a gym and COVID, which virtually shut down every gym in the country, he was able to build a thriving gym based on the principle of community, which he talks more about in our conversation. He's also been fortunate enough to train and work with some of the world's top athletes, and shares how top athletes are able to keep a strong mindset despite the countless challenges that they face in their lives. Overall, if you're really looking to level up your mental and physical health, then this is a great conversation for you. So enjoy my conversation with Taylor. Taylor, what's up, brother? Welcome to the podcast.
Oh, Daniel, thanks for having me.
It's going great, man. And I have a lot of really fun things to get into and to ask you, because I think that what you're doing and the work that you're up to, especially when it comes to health and building a healthy lifestyle and building great mental health, is super important. But before we get into all that, here's kind of where I want to get started. Someone doesn't usually go from being a shy kid to being a professional sprinter. So how did that metamorphosis happen?
Honestly, that was my form of confidence. Like, I didn't exude it verbally or any physical capacity outside of sports. So that was a place that I could perform to my highest ability and something that I felt confident in. So that's just a way that I expressed myself, right? So growing up, made fun of, probably typical normal kids, but it may have hit me a little bit harder. And what drove me was to prove that I'm not just this nobody, right? So athletics was something that I did well in, and it pushed me to do better. And honestly, it was a chip on my shoulder, man. It was, and I did my performances without saying anything. I just let the performances kind of talk. So that's how I built my confidence as a young high school athlete playing basketball, but that ultimately transformed into track and field, which was a different course that I didn't had not planned on, but it led me to the opportunities that I've seen today, meeting some amazing people, learning some new things, and being able to apply all the knowledge that I've gotten from running and my education to multiple other athletes and people.
I know you said that in high school you played basketball. Were you always kind of an athletic kid growing up, or did you kind of have to come into that athleticism over time?
I would say it did come naturally to me, but obviously I still had to put in the work. Like skill-based sports, you still need to practice those skills. People like to think that you just like got it. Yeah, you might have a leg up, but to really take it to that next level, you've got to put in the work. And with basketball, like high level skill sports, you have to practice. Nobody's getting away with just going to practice 4 hours a week, right? And then you get into track and field, that is a performance based sport. So if you're not putting in the work, you're not going to be top. So there's the two different aspects of the type of work that you have to do. But yeah, I was gifted. I just used my gift and trained harder.
It's good. Hard work. What's that one quote from the movie Kevin Durant was in? It's like eluding my mind right now. Thunderstruck. It's like hard work beats talent when talent fails to work hard. So that's
Yep.
definitely what that reminds me of.
Yeah, and I've been in that position. I was a walk on in college, and I busted my butt and beat some of the scholarship athletes, and eventually earned my spot as a scholarship athlete. So it just goes to show, like, you might not be at that level, but give yourself some time with hard work and grit, and you can get there.
Hey man, Jordan was also a JV athlete, so you never know these days.
Yeah, for real.
So I know you ended up pursuing something along the lines of like health, and you ended up working with a lot of elite athletes, which I want to get into a little bit later. But when you were growing up, kind of, did you always know you wanted to do that, or what did you think you wanted to be when you grew up when you were a kid?
Completely different end of the spectrum. I wanted to be an astronaut. And then I grew to be a little bit too tall, and I think the cutoff is 6'2" to be an astronaut, and I'm 6'4". So then I was like, oh, I want to be an aerospace engineer. Well, Cal State Fullerton didn't have an aerospace engineering program, just regular engineering. And my senior year of high school, I fell in love with there was a sports med class. I'm like, I love the body, I love all this stuff. But I took AP Physics, like I loved numbers and space and all that kind of stuff. So pursuing sports performance and health and all those areas was not in my headspace whatsoever until I took that sports med class. And that's kind of where things started to eventually shift, where I actually became a pre-athletic training major, but it was not in the plan as a kid. I wanted to be in space.
Got it. I think personally, a personal goal of mine. Sometimes when I'm at the gym, I get like this random thought. I was like, it'd be so cool to be an astronaut, like to go up in like one of those Red Bull commercial things. So, I mean, we'll see if Red Bull's listening. If you guys want to send a podcast up to space, I don't know if that's in your guys' program, but we'll have to we'll have to wait and see if something happens.
That would be so sick. Just floating around, asking some questions, hearing some amazing stories.
Yeah, definitely. Hey, man, I could. What if they sponsored the first ever podcast in space? That's actually, yeah, that's Red Bull. If you're listening, get in touch with me. We could do something like that for sure. It's a really good idea. But kind of back to what you were saying earlier. I know you went down this kind of sports medicine path, and we're really interested there. I know in college you ended up studying kinesiology. Did you ever think about becoming a doctor and going that route?
I did. One of my really good family friends is a chiropractor, and he knew how I was as a kid and how I excelled in academics. And he's like, "Oh, you shouldn't be a chiropractor. You should become a DO." And I looked into it, and there was a time where I wanted to be an anesthesiologist, but that was when I was a kid and just found out how much money they make. But I didn't want to do all that schooling, right? So he told me about becoming a DO, and then I found out how much it costs, how much more school I have to do after my bachelor's. I was like, nah, I'm good. Like, I'm done with school. That's it for me.
Yep, I feel that. A lot of kids, I think when I was younger, I also said something like that. And then when they asked why, we did like a time capsule thing when we were younger, and they asked us like what we wanted to be and why. And I think I said also like a doctor, and then I said because they make a lot of money. So I think when we're kids, for whatever reason, we tend to think of that as our career paths. But thankfully, as we get older, we try to find, or hopefully, kind of we try to find a little more meaning. Speaking of that, in regards to your story, so instead of going down that medicine path or becoming an anesthesiologist or DO, you decided to plunge into entrepreneurship and open up a new gym. So why'd you decide to end up opening up a gym?
So that was once I got into my career path with kinesiology, it was something that I thought about doing. Like anybody that's a strength and conditioning coach, you want to have your own facility, right? So that was a goal of mine as a young college student. And once I graduated with my master's, actually, my dad had an opportunity in LA, and he's like, "Hey, you want to help? Like, you want to start this with me?" So, well, it's my dad. Amazing opportunity. Let's do it. So, uh, the cool thing about the whole project that we started is it took a long time to build out. Right? It was a big space, and during that time, I was working as a personal trainer at Crunch in Placentia, and I had the most amazing general manager, Brandon. He supported anything and everything. He was a track guy himself. He threw shot put, I think a little discus too, and knows that track is a labor of love. And we just hit it off. And I told him my plans of, hey, I'm gonna open up a facility with my dad. And he started to just teach me the ways of business because I knew how to train people, but I didn't know how to run a freaking business, man. And this was over 6 to 8 months or so, probably, that he would teach me some back end stuff or like give me ideas while I would work in the mornings, train, and then go to LA to continue building out. So 7 years will be August now that we've been open, and extremely hard. Big learning curve. Did not know business whatsoever, but it's super fulfilling, transforming and changing lives, and help educate people on fitness and nutrition and finding things that they love with different types of movement. So it's a different type of gym than I had originally planned, but in my plan, there was always a gym.
Got it. I mean, shout out to Brandon for hooking up there. And while he was kind of mentoring you and telling you, what the business side of it was, what'd you learn about the business aspect that you might not have thought of or didn't like think to consider while you were just focusing on the personal training part?
Everything. I, I literally knew nothing. I hated sales as a personal trainer. I still don't like to say that I do sales. I'm just trying to help people figure out if they're ready to take action on transforming their life. But I didn't know about CRMs. I didn't know about advertising. I didn't know about how to structure classes and timing and hiring. And I just got thrown into the fire. And at that time in my life, I was still training to try to make an Olympic team. So I was splitting time, training really hard, and then also trying to open up and operate a business. And if I could go back to the beginning, I would have gotten a mentor that knew more of the details of everything way sooner, way sooner. I was literally just talking about how asking for help is actually a sign of strength and not a sign of weakness. Like when you don't know something, ask. I paid the time tax. I didn't know things. I tried to research them all the time, and that inhibited the growth at first. But that's part of what we do as young kids is we think we could just figure things out, and sometimes having a mentor costs money, and we don't have that at that time. So it was just a massive learning curve, but I'm glad I went through it because all those lessons are now something that I can take with me forever.
Isn't there kind of a beauty to that though? It's like in hindsight, we know these things and what like we wish we could have done these things when we were younger, but it's like we only know that because we made those mistakes.
Yeah, and also back then, like this was 2017, like business mentorships and things like that weren't really a thing unless you had somebody in the family or a close friend that could do it. And Brandon did a great job from what he knew from Crunch, but that's like a Globo big box gym versus me in a little more of a boutique talking about bringing in $100,000 a month from $10 a month memberships to class based with not even 200 members, right? So there's a big difference in how you have to structure things. And he helped me with the baseline and like figuring out the necessities, but I was still like I didn't know how to do ads from him because Crunch has like guap they're throwing out to market to everybody, and we're bootstrapped and just trying to tell people guerrilla marketing. It's just all that kind of stuff.
So walking to like when you opened up that first gym, when you're actually starting to like open for business, what is the hardest part about starting your own gym?
I would say just taking that step, right? And it doesn't have to be a gym, it could be any business. It is scary. I quit my job. I wasn't working as a personal trainer once I moved out to LA. I didn't make money for like 3 years. I had to do little side gigs all the time just to make ends meet for a while. And the hardest thing to get it going was to figure out the things that actually made an impact to grow the business or get the name known. And that took me a long time, probably a couple of years. I would buy those little courses every once in a while that you would see for how to do Facebook ads and try that. And we tried a company that ran ads for us, and that did not work out. We got one sale in 3 months and lost thousands of dollars off of that. Like, it was terrible. But those are the lessons that you learn throughout business. And it is trial and error. So the hardest thing really is just taking that step back, deep throated swallow, and like pushing forward, even though you don't know what you're doing all the time.
So, thinking about the actual marketing and advertising aspect of it, you talked about this a little bit earlier, but obviously, when you're thinking about Crunch Fitness, like this huge gym that has practically an unlimited advertising budget, like you coming in as a small gym and you're trying to kind of compete with a lot of these bigger players, what approach do you take to advertising and marketing to try to land new clients?
So the cool thing about the whole move and moving out there, my wife actually got a job as a property manager. So I'm like, all right, cool. We got 160 some tenants. Can I advertise to them? Can I put something on the mail boards? Like, so that's what I started with. I made flyers on Vistaprint and put them in all the buildings that her company owned in downtown. Didn't have too much traction though. But the other thing that was different about us was we kind of got started with martial arts before the big boxing boom. So we started to build awareness that we were like this fitness boxing gym, but with like real coaches. Like one of our head coach, who's still with us today, Ozzy Diaz, is a professional MMA fighter, and he taught our boxing, kickboxing, and jiu-jitsu classes, right? So there's people coming in that wanted to be MMA fighters, but then there was also people that just wanted to learn to box for self-defense and just to get a good workout. And this was really before it exploded. I would say probably like, I'd say the pandemic's really when I noticed boxing really kicking off. Like Mayweather opened up a gym on the west side, and there was a few other ones around, but it wasn't like this big thing like, oh, hey, I go to boxing classes now. Normally you hear like, oh, I go to Pilates, I go to yoga, I go to do Zumba. Like boxing wasn't that. Now it's gained traction. So I think we got in at the right time with a new market that was just evolving. And that really helped us root down where we are.
So it really helped that a lot of these bigger players, I mean, they had just like their basic bare and bones equipment, like typical, machines, typical weights. So it really helped you guys that you guys had that sort of MMA niche that really drove an initial group of people.
Yeah, 100%. And we had shared space too with a CrossFit at the time as well. So they saw us. They weren't with us, but they saw us and they may have talked to other people too. So that helped just bring awareness. But we were definitely boutique, completely different demographic than like we have a Planet Fitness 2 or 3 blocks up the street. There's a Gold's Gym like 4 blocks to the west of us. But those aren't the people that we'd want to market to, right? It's a completely different structure, different setup. And we're really, really intimate. We have events all the time. Like Ozzy's last fight was in Commerce Casino. We had over 40 people show up. Like I was damn near in tears at the support that we had. Like it was amazing. Like the community that we've built is so deep rooted, and that's what is different from our gym from any other global gym that you go to.
So thinking about that community and really that membership vibe really quickly, what would you say the vibe is of the people that kind of go to those more niche gyms versus the people that go to those like larger LA Fitness, Gold's Gym, Crunch Fitness, that type of thing?
You're not going there just for the workout. The workout, honestly, I would say is the cherry on top. We do some great stuff with our coaching and our classes, but the amount of smiles, laughing, jokes, and everything that you hear in the facility, that's what separates it. And I had the luxury of basically private training up until, well, I still can because I have the gym, right, in my own garage gym. But when I moved back to Orange County during the pandemic, I went to a 24-hour fitness and just like, whoa, this is weird. Like, I don't like this. Like, I got that gym intimidation as I was still running at the time, like as an elite athlete. Like, what is this? Everybody's got like hoodies on with their headphones on, just walking on the treadmill, stone faced, nobody's saying anything. The music's kind of playing, but everybody still has their own headphones in. And like, this isn't friendly. This isn't inviting. Like, I understand why people don't want to go to the gym to get started. Like, it is scary. It's intimidating. It's not inviting. The front desk will say hi, but that's pretty much it. And then you're on your own. Right. So I always try to make walking into our gym as welcoming as possible, because that's what we are. We're family ran. We are family as a whole community. And that's the difference in signing up for just like a regular big box gym versus a little boutique.
Got it. Something to really build up that vibe. And I agree. I think community building is a huge thing, especially in today's day and age. And, I go to a local gym and the front desk people are always really nice to me. But I definitely understand the vibe of like, you want to go somewhere where, there's open conversation. It's more of a community vibe as opposed to everyone just kind of stone faced and locked into doing their own thing. So really cool that you guys were able to do that. Thinking about your favorite topic here, running the business side of a gym, which, I was being sarcastic. I know it's probably not your favorite part, but obviously for someone like me that regularly goes to the gym, I just think of like, all right, I go to my locker, I kind of do my workout, I do my own thing. When you're thinking about like the business end of it, what's something that you think a lot of people don't consider when it comes to how a business operates?
I would say from start to finish, basically everything. You people that just go to the gym, that sounded terrible. You people, that's the Tropic Thunder right there.
Okay.
uh, People that just like walk into the gym don't realize everything that goes behind it, right? So like Globo Gym might be a little bit different, but our classes are all structured in some type of way. There's planning that goes behind it. The way that we organize our classes are put in a certain different way. Then you think about gym equipment, gym wear, stuff gets replaced, plumbing issues, just tons of stuff, like constant cleaning, schedule changes. Like, there's so much working on the backside of things that we try to not hide from the members, but make them not worry about it at all, because they should just be coming in for the experience of the classes and the community. But that is something that I don't think people are aware of. Like, even here at home, I've got equipment that will break down from personal training people still, right? And to them, they're just using the equipment. But to me, it's like there is lifespan to that. Then say somebody moves, right? Got to find a new coach. That's not fun to do, because people like their coaches. And the whole community aspect is that coaches built community. So if they were to leave, like, there might be some disgruntled people that were super attached to that coach, and it might take them a little while to warm back up to a new coach. So there's all the differences, and like, you could talk about the advertising thing and the deep side of business that they probably have zero idea about, but that would be like the step in. I see all this stuff, but like, what does this stuff what's it mean? You know what I mean?
Yeah. How about this? What's the most expensive part about running a gym?
Payroll. Easy. Yeah. We have high level coaches and try to take care of them. That's how you have really good classes. I got paid as a certified strength and conditioning specialist, like the NSCA CSCS, with my master's as an elite trainer. If people were willing to pay the elite price, it was only $31 per session.
Really? Damn.
Right? There's different levels to it. So like, yeah, we have like entry level coaching, but we still try to give as many classes as we can for the people coming in. So you add a class, it's more expenses there. And I think overall on expenses side of things, like, people don't realize that the business pays the salaries or the hourly plus taxes on top of that. So if you're getting paid, say, $100, well, the gym's not just paying you $100. They're paying you like 120, 125. It's way more. And that's something I had no idea about. That was whoa, what is this?
Yeah, taxes are taxes. I'll leave it at that. I'll try to keep it as kosher as I can, but
Yeah.
appreciate you sharing the back end insights. On a more personal, professional note, you've gotten a chance to work with a lot of professional athletes. You mentioned one of them, but MMA fighters, basketball players, track and field athletes, to name a few. What do you notice about the habits and actions of elite athletes that really get them to level up their performance?
Consistency is king. They will put in the work, rarely ask questions, and if they do, it's because they want to learn. But they know that putting the results or the practice in compounds the results, right? You're so narrow-minded with what you're trying to accomplish that you will just have that laser focus and not be deviated from it. And that's what separates I think athletes and serious entrepreneurs have different than any other people, right? And I've talked about it before. I think they have a leg up on anybody else that has not been an athlete or have aspirations to build their own thing. And it's because of that consistency with no matter what is going on. And it can be built. Like that mental resilience can be built in anybody, but it is extremely powerful for how you develop it as an athlete.
So thinking about the other side of it, and probably some of the stuff that you're more acutely aware of, what are some issues that these kind of people face?
The athletes or other people?
Athletes, entrepreneurs, or just kind of people you train. Just kind of what I'm looking to get as the other side of what these elite performing individuals face when it comes to there are a
Oh,
lot of issues that they have to go through and overcome.
not being satisfied with where they're at and wanting more, even though they're really high leveled. You want every last little inch. And when you don't see that little extra performance gain or moving the needle in the business, it's really frustrating and you can get really down on yourself, right? So you have to have somebody that can check you and be like, hey, like you're doing the right things. Progress is not linear. We're not always going to be moving up. There's going to be tough times. There might be an injury. A business might slump for a little bit, but just know if you keep putting in the work, you're going to rise out on top. And that is a mental hurdle that a lot of business owners and athletes themselves deal with that I don't think is talked about enough.
So thinking more on a personal note, obviously, you share that opening up a gym is tough and there's a ton that goes in the back end and some stuff that unfortunately are kind of like surprise learnings. But what's something that you still want to improve on when it comes to either your personal life or kind of your business life that you're personally trying to get better at?
Me is balancing out life actually itself. When I get into the zone, I'm in the zone, and I have a soon-to-be 3-year-old and my wife,
Awesome.
and I could just be zeroed in on work. And now I'm taking more effort to completely turn off. But everything that I do can be done from my phone, and I'm like always on my phone. So I'm trying to get away from that. And I found out that for me, being an athlete in track and field, I was outside a lot. And when I work a lot and I don't get outside, my mentality starts to suffer. So now, like I go mountain biking, but I didn't for a while just because we had a lot of rain. And I was like, what is going on here? I go on one ride, complete shift. So one, it's having devoted family time and actually making time for myself to do things that I truly, truly enjoy, because working out for me doesn't quite do it anymore. I don't get that mental release from lifting weights or running anymore. I can still think, but when I mountain bike or go ride my dirt bike, I'm gone. Like it's me. That's it.
So really being able to kind of level out that time and also trying to find that thing that lets you release that stress so you can kind of get back into the cycle of doing things.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's stress. It's just not thinking about what's next or what needs to be done and just having that clear headspace. And it's super important to find what it is for you. Like some people, it's reading. Like working out was it for me because when you run a 400, you can't think about anything but keeping going and the pain that you feel. But I don't run that hard anymore. And lifting used to do it, but it doesn't. So I had to find a new avenue to lose my thoughts.
I definitely feel that. So I think for me, I go on my daily walk after lunch. Sometimes it helps me clear my mind and to chill out a bit. So, I don't know if it'll be that forever, but I could definitely resonate with you on that one. So thinking about back to your personal story and back to running a gym. So obviously, you started a gym, had to kind of hustle to make ends meet for a bit while you were learning how to operate this thing. Thinking back to COVID, which was really tough for a lot of gyms, what effect did COVID really have on you, and how are you able to survive when practically like all the gyms were shut down?
Complete shift. Well, one was, wow, what's happening? How can they shut us down like this? This is not only our livelihood, but physical health is mental health, and they're taking that away from people. Doors shut down. We were in LA, so we were probably one of the strictest places in America. And we just had to make a big pivot. And luckily, I had in, I think 2012, 2013, I don't remember exactly, I had launched the VicFit, which was the virtually integrated coach. If I ran with it, man, I probably would be a top dog in the online coaching world. But I didn't know how to market or anything like I did in 2017 when we started the gym. So I shut that down. Then I redeveloped it called Crown Athletics right around when the pandemics happened. So I was able to shift a lot of the efforts to online fulfillment for the people who wanted to continue to support us, right? So that was one of the big shifts. And now we utilize that in the gym. We have this hybrid style of training where it's my online coaching that I do for people with in-person classes too. It's like literally the best of both worlds because you get that in-person interaction and community, but then I take care of a lot of the back end stuff to make sure you're totally dialed in. So that is what helped us push through in the pandemic and keep the doors open, and not shut down. Because unfortunately, I think there was like 2 or 3 in our area that closed their doors.
I hate to see it, but glad to see that you were able to stick things out and make it work. So great job pivoting on there. So I think we spoke about this a little bit earlier, but obviously with fitness and most goals in life, things don't happen overnight. And kind of a lot of the time we can get really frustrated. So do you have any advice for anyone on their journey or specifically on their fitness journey for how to kind of mentally come back down to earth in those moments where they're just kind of really frustrated that things aren't going their way?
Yeah, this just comes back to kind of like the elite athlete mentality. Just because you're not making that progress at that moment in time doesn't mean that you're not making progress. It's part of the journey, right? So buckle down, look at how far you have come, and then continue to push forward because that is what people forget to do. They don't look back at what they have accomplished and they always focus on what's next. And I'm a guy that always loves to move the goalpost. We're always pushing forward, but don't forget to give yourself props for what you have accomplished.
Yep, I think that's a really good thing. That's something that I've started to do recently, because obviously growing a media platform is really tough, but I think sometimes I'm like, okay, like, obviously as much as we want to stay level-headed all the time, we're humans. Like that just can't happen, unfortunately. I mean, I guess it's good we're not robots, but I'll leave that art and science conversation at that. But I think a lot of times it's like, okay, you know what, if anything, at least I know more than I did on day one. So I think that definitely is a good way to kind of pat yourself on the back a little bit, but also kind of calm down a bit and help you move forward. So I definitely think that's great advice and something that I've been doing in my personal life and recommend for anyone out there listening to also undertake. To get into a little bit more like the personal health side, as someone in the health and coaching space, I have to ask you, what's your favorite healthy meal?
Favorite healthy meal? A good quality sushi spot, right? Fresh fish, just some rice. You got some avocado and maybe some cucumber in there. Like I love nigiri. I think sushi is probably my go-to, or a good poke bowl. Poke bowls, super bomb.
I had a poke bowl last night. What's your favorite sushi roll?
Sushi roll, probably a green dragon. I love eel,
Hmm.
or like I don't know. Places change the names. There's like a sun-kissed roll. It's spicy tuna on the inside with albacore on top and onions. Not fried onions, just like regular onions with that like lemon sauce. Super good.
It's funny you mention that. I have like a dangerous addiction to spicy tuna. I just, I could be addicted to worse things, so I'll kind of just take what I have. I know it's probably it has a lot of mercury content, but like, we all have our vices, and that's mine. But I definitely share that with you, my man.
There's a little trick that I have when I'm ready to go pound some sushi. Take some chlorella because it helps bind heavy metals.
Wait, what's that called again? Chlorella?
Yeah, it's in algae.
God, is that like available to purchase?
Yeah, you can just get a tub of that. Like I forget what the supplement company name is on Amazon, but
Hmm.
it's a heavy metal binder. So like if I know I'm gonna smash some sushi, or if I'm gonna be eating like tuna cans for a little bit, I'll have that to help mitigate it a little bit. I mean, it's not gonna be perfect, but it's
Okay.
also just a superfood itself.
Awesome. I appreciate that. Selfishly, I'm gonna go look that up later. So we were talking a little bit, I guess, before the show. Also, you actually started this thing recently called the Real Foods Challenge, which is like a 28-day challenge. Can you elaborate on a little bit about why you started that and ultimately what that is?
Yeah, so food is everybody's vice, right? It's just what it is. But what happens when we continue to lose ourselves with all the temptations that are around us? We forget how good we can really feel eating whole, single ingredient, like real foods. So what this challenge is was developed is to help you create a new baseline of how you feel eating real food. So essentially, it's like if it's manufactured or compounded in any type of way, like we're trying to remove that right now. And basically, get your meats, get your vegetables, get your fruits, like and oats, just real foods, right? So I did this in March, and it probably had some of the most profound effects on some of my clients. And it was things that they had been looking for their whole lives and just didn't know it until they took that leap. And it's not easy. I'm not going to say it's easy, right? Because our palate changes. But once you learn that you're okay eating carbs, like you can eat carbs, you don't have to stick to some crazy diet to feel good and lose weight. Like you can just eat real whole foods and fuel your performance, get leaner, have more clarity in your cognition, and just have more pep in your step at all times by eating real food and be really full. Like diets or healthy foods are not boring and bland. We just talked about poke. Guess what? Almost all of that is whole real food. Simple, right? And it's super simple to follow. And once you follow this simplistic way of eating and enjoying that food and learning how it tastes, you get these amazing results. So that's why I started. I just wanted to make people aware of what real food is again and how good they can feel eating the right things for their body.
Definitely, and I'll plug my favorite. Well, I don't want to say my favorite. I have a good breakfast rotation going, but something that I eat, or that's like a really simple breakfast with whole foods, or at least mostly whole food, is like just whole wheat peanut butter toast with 100% peanuts, peanut butter. Throw on some banana, then some chia seeds. Then this is an unpopular kind of a hot take. Throw on some everything seasoning on top of that, and that's kind of my my all
Ah,
encompassed.
interesting.
Yep. So
Um,
I'll just recap that. That's like whole wheat bread, peanut butter, banana, chia seeds, everything seasoning. So that's my
the everything seasonings for a little like saltiness with a little like the seeds or what?
saltiness garlic. Yeah, it's a hot take. You know, I've gotten some mixed opinions from my friends, but like I tried it one time. I know in theory it's not supposed to work, but like I think it does. It adds like a nice little savory touch. So that's my kind of if I'm in a pinch and I don't have a full fridge, that's kind of what I'll make.
Yeah, I have a really weird snack that I've shared with people, and so far it's pretty awesome. It is mushrooms. Pick your poison, don't really care. You tear out the stem, and honestly, it's got to be Trader Joe's Dijon mustard. And you just put it inside the cap, and really good for a little just like quick snack bite that you don't really want to eat. You just got some flavor cravings going. And my wife looked at me like I was just crazy when I started doing it, and I told a few of my clients, and they all actually like it.
Got it. Well, look, it doesn't have to. We don't have to love it as long as the nutrition is there. But some cool stuff there. So, Taylor, I want to ask you on a parting note here. So we've spoken a lot about your fitness journey, well, your kind of gym journey, and really overcoming those challenges of being a kid. If someone's coming to you and someone really wants to get their health in order, a lot of stuff in their life isn't really balanced, but they know that a lot of things probably start with their mental health and then their physical health, and then everything kind of follows after that. Thinking about baby steps here, what should step one be?
Step one is just take that step, right? A lot of people will keep mulling it over, saying they want to start. Well, instead of thinking about it, just put it into action. And this could be as simple as taking a step outside and standing outside for a little bit in the sun, or a 2 minute walk that turns into a 10, 20-minute walk. Just make that first step, like commit to something, because you're never going to get started without taking that first step. And we could get lost in our thoughts. So it literally is as simple as whatever you're thinking, just do it. And it could be the smallest fraction of whatever that just do it is, but you'll start to build momentum.
So, it reminds me of a funny joke I heard once. It's like this one restaurant holds up a sign. You know how restaurants will like show their specials on like a blackboard or something like that? So they'll have like a sign like, oh, free fries tomorrow or like free whatever tomorrow. And then like, so, okay, someone comes tomorrow and then like the sign still says that. And they're like, what, like I thought today was the day. And the joke is like tomorrow never comes. So that's why, that's why they have
I
this
love
joke.
that. I am going to use that. That is
Yeah,
amazing.
that reminds me of that. But Taylor, appreciate you mentioning that at the end. And it's been an absolute blast, man. I appreciate you taking the time to come on the podcast and bestow some wisdom upon us all.
Yeah, I appreciate you, man. This was an amazing experience.
Thanks for listening to my conversation with Taylor Ross. I have one small favor to ask of you. Please subscribe to the channel. Subscribing helps us immensely. It allows us to invest more in the show and scale the production and put on an even better episode for you guys. So thank you for subscribing, and I'll see you next time.